Hello, my name is Gianna Mora, and I am a junior in this project. My topic is how anxiety and depression affect high schoolers' social lives and their academic performance. So I have firsthand, I know a lot of things about this just because I have really severe anxiety and depression already. So I thought this would be a good topic. The signs of anxiety and depression, which symptoms. So for depression, the symptoms are difficulty concentrating, social isolation, low mood, sleeping and eating disturbances, feeling of hopelessness, and thoughts of self-harm. The symptoms of anxiety are panic attacks, avoidance, sleep disturbance, trouble concentrating, and an overall declining in functioning. I thought to help us understand more about anxiety and depression, I'll just tell you the definition, so halfway you have a little understanding. So the definition of anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically an imminent event. And then depression is a mood disorder that causes persistent feeling of sadness or loss of interest, also called major depressive disorder or clinical depression. It affects how you feel, think, and behave that can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. When you think about high school and you're coming from middle school, it's kind of wow, there's a lot to go on and stuff. So the first thing you have to worry about is clubs, sports teams, and stuff like that. You see a lot of people and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to this college, and they already know. So it's a little scary. So when you're going with anxiety and depression, you're kind of thinking where do I fit in? Because it's not always easy to figure out and be like, oh yeah, I want to go to this college and stuff like that. So then it's constantly why am I? What's happening? Because you don't really feel like you belong anywhere, so it's kind of hard to make friends and stuff if you're thinking like that. And it will also affect how you act everywhere else. Because you need friends to help build you up and stuff like that, and you need someone to be there for you. I had slipped into probably my lowest point, and I started getting anxiety attacks. It got so bad to where when it was happening, I couldn't open my eyes because the lights literally hurt my head. I couldn't move that much because I was so weak, I couldn't walk, and my whole body was shaking. There's a lot that people can't put up with when you're with this, and probably that's one of the hardest things that you have to go through if you have anxiety and depression. And when you're going back, you'll go back to school and you realize, I just did this in front of everyone, the kids in my school know. I had to go to my boyfriend's soccer game, and something happened where I just slipped into it. I wasn't upset or anything, and I was at a restaurant, and these kids saw me having an anxiety attack, and the next day I came back from school, they started making fun of me and acting out how my anxiety attack was. And the sad thing was, it was one of my friends that started doing it also. I have a problem where if I'm worried about a test or something, I will work myself up so much that I will be hunched over in pain because I've physically caused myself to be sick. And it's really hard to do when you're worried about something and you have to take this test. So while you're trying to take this test, I'm I am in so much pain right now, and I'll fail it. And that's the hard thing, is that I'll fail something, and then it's okay, well, this is the fourth test in a row that I failed because I don't feel good. So then I just give up. And it's really hard because you can't really... for me, it's kind of I'm failing 3-4 tests in a row because I have this problem that I can't control. I mean, I know the material. I know it all, really well. But as soon as I get to the test, I forget everything, and then I start, being really in pain. The problem is there's a lot of kids like this, and there's not much that you can do to help it. I mean, people can give us drugs or tell us to, be more calm, but that doesn't work. Um, it's kind of hard because there are some really, really smart kids that have anxiety and depression and that can't show it because they can't help themselves. Kids like me will never be able to show how smart we truly are because the huge burden that we're carrying on each other every single day, and it affects our social life, our life with, sports, and our academic life. How are we supposed to get into a college if we can't take a test or do something with a job that's important? I think something that can help students with anxiety and depression is if you encourage people like your students or your friends to reach out and say like, hey, I can help you with this if you're having a hard time, because that really, it helps a lot. Like in students, I don't like going to teachers, other kids don't like going to teachers just because it's kind of like either you'll make them mad somehow because you don't understand something, where it's kind of like, they'll be like, oh, you should know this by now. And I've heard that so many times, and every single time it like lowers my self-esteem, where I'm like, okay, well, now I have to walk away. If you be like, okay, I can sit down with you, I can help you with this, it means the world without them actually saying anything. And then just little stuff like that. And it will help them keep going throughout things, knowing that like I know where somewhere I can go to get help if I really need it, and I have a secure outlet.